I returned home from a business trip to find my wife had changed the locks. She texted me from my own couch saying, "I found someone better." I took a deep breath, smiled, and replied, "Are you really sure about that?" Then I walked away. 4 days later, she was yelling on the phone. During our last video call, something seemed strange. Vivian was in our living room, but the throw pillows were arranged differently. It was a small detail that I almost missed. After 8 years of marriage, you notice these little things. The coral pillow she always had on her side of the couch was missing and replaced by one I had never seen before. When I asked her about it, she laughed and said she just needed a change. I was finishing up a 2-week work trip to Seattle, which was a big project with a big opportunity. Vivian had been encouraging when I left, telling me to do my best. But as the days went by, her texts got shorter and our calls felt rushed. She stopped asking about my day. When I shared good news about my project, her responses seemed empty and tired. "Just busy with work," she'd say. I understood. I had helped her with her career. What she didn't know was how much I had really done for her success. But we'll get to that later. The first real sign that something was wrong happened 3 days before I got back. During our nightly call, I heard a man laughing in the background. When I asked about it, Vivian quickly said it was just the TV. But I knew our TV had a different sound that I had set up myself. This was definitely someone else's voice. She ended the call shortly after, saying she had a headache. I landed at 2 p.m. on Thursday. I sent her a text saying just landed, but she didn't reply. This was unusual because Vivian usually responded quickly. The ride home felt longer than normal. I noticed more things that seemed off. Her location sharing was turned off, and her Instagram stories showed our living room from angles she never used before. When my key wouldn't fit in the lock, I thought it was stuck at first. It took me a minute to realize that the lock was new. Standing there with my suitcase, I felt oddly calm. After 8 years of marriage, my wife had changed the locks while I was away. That's when I received her text. "I found someone better. Don't bother coming in. I've moved on." The timestamp showed she was typing this while watching me. Through our security camera from my own couch, I took a deep breath and typed back, "Are you really sure about that?" Then I walked away, dragging my suitcase behind me. No drama, no banging on the door, just 3 dots appearing and disappearing as she tried to respond. I checked into a nearby hotel and called my friend Damon. Within an hour, he had figured out what I had missed. Vivian was seeing someone named Ezekiel, a client from her job. They had been seen together at restaurants over the past month. But here's where it gets interesting. Ezekiel had a history of dating married women who were about to make big career moves. While Damon talked, I logged into our shared cloud storage. Vivian wasn't great with technology. She never changed the passwords I set. There were photos of them together in our house from 3 weeks ago. But she missed something important in her rush to replace me. My phone buzzed again. "Vivian, you're handling this better than I thought. No fighting for us. Guess I was right about finding someone better." I smiled, thinking about the document I found in our cloud drive, a document she forgot about from when I helped her set up her investment plan last year. I took a screenshot and sent it to my lawyer. "Give me 4 days, I texted back. "Then we'll see who found someone better." Her reply was quick. "What do you mean by that?" I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and started writing an email to some old colleagues. By midnight, I had everything I needed to show her what she was about to lose. Tomorrow, I would start setting things in motion. For now, I enjoyed the constant buzzing of my phone as Vivian tried to figure out what I knew. The best part? She had no idea that the nice life she was enjoying right now, the one she was sharing with him on my couch, was built on shaky ground that she was about to destroy. Let her enjoy her better choice for now. In 4 days, she would learn that some choices have consequences she never expected. Update. First, thank you for all the support on my last post. Your comments helped me stay focused. Here's what happened in the last 24 hours. Remember that document I mentioned? It was the agreement Vivian signed when I helped her set up her investment plan. What she forgot was that I didn't just help her invest. I was the one who gave her most of the money. The agreement clearly said that if we separated, certain investments would have to be sold right away. But that's not what made her panic last night. Vivian's sister, Sophia, called me crying. "Hunter, I can't stay quiet anymore. Ezekiel has done this before, 3 times. He targets women like Vivian, uses their connections, and then disappears once he gets what he wants." I already knew about Ezekiel's pattern, but Sophia had more details. She sent screenshots of conversations between Vivian and Ezekiel from 2 months ago. They weren't just planning their affair. They were discussing business, opportunities using information I had shared with Vivian about my company's upcoming projects. "There's more," Sophia said. "Last week, Vivian asked me to keep some documents for her. She said they were just backup copies of work stuff. I looked at them today, Hunter. She's been moving a lot of money around. I thanked Sophia and hung up, then logged into our joint accounts. There it was. Vivian had been making big purchases, hiding them as household expenses, art pieces, designer furniture, even a new car, all bought in the last month and buried under miscellaneous transactions. The interesting part, she had used our joint account for the down payments, but the main purchases were funded through her work expense account, the same account I helped her set up years ago, where I was still listed as a financial advisor. It was time to show her what she was risking. I typed a text. Just had an interesting chat with the board about those expense reports, especially the ones from last month. The couch looks great, by the way. Original receipts would be helpful. Her response came instantly. What are you talking about? Oh, and Ezekiel's history with Carson and Mills was quite interesting. 3 settlements in 2 years. That's impressive. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times. Then, Hunter, we need to talk. We will, after I finish my meeting with the ethics committee tomorrow. Her next message showed real fear. What meeting? Hunter, please let's talk about this. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded Sophia's screenshots to my lawyer and wrote an email to the board about my concerns regarding financial problems, not sending it yet, just in case. Darman came to the hotel with takeout and a USB drive. You won't believe what I found, he said, pulling up files on his laptop. It turned out Ezekiel had been recording his conversations with Vivian, not just sweet talk, but detailed talks about upcoming projects and client information. He's using her, Darman said, shaking his head. And she's so caught up in it she can't see what's coming. My phone kept buzzing. Vivian had gone from being scared to trying to make a deal. Whatever you think you know, you're wrong. I can explain everything. Please don't do anything rash. The last message caught my eye. The board doesn't need to know about any of this. We can work something out. I smiled and sent my last text of the night. Check your email in 10 minutes. Pay special attention to the attachment from March 15th. March 15th, the day she signed the partnership agreement. The one she clearly didn't read closely enough. The one that gave me a lot of control over the company's big money decisions. As I write this, Vivian is blowing up my phone. Ezekiel's name has disappeared from her social media. The designer couch she bought with company money, the one she was so proudly sitting on in those photos, is now listed for sale online. Tomorrow morning, I have a meeting, not with the ethics committee. That was just to shake her up. The real meeting is with someone who has much more to lose. If Vivian's recent actions come to light, I'll update again once everything's in motion. For now, I'm watching her slowly realize that her better choice might cost her everything she's worked for. And I haven't even played my biggest card yet. Update 2. Quick update from the last 24 hours because things got serious quickly. Remember that meeting I mentioned? It wasn't just about Vivian's expense reports. It was about something much bigger. When I helped Vivian get her job 5 years ago, I did more than just make introductions. I invested a lot of money under a company name she never looked into. Back then, she was so thrilled about the opportunity that she barely read the paperwork she signed. She was too focused on her new office to notice the details. This morning, I walked into the board meeting with every receipt, every recorded conversation, and every suspicious transaction from the last 3 months. But I didn't show any of it. Instead, I just put my shareholder voting rights on the table. The look on the chairman's face was priceless. You're the silent partner for Morgan Holdings. I nodded. And I'm worried about some recent decisions made by certain members of the executive team. That's when my phone started buzzing. Olivia, my colleague who had been watching things closely, texted, Ezekiel just left Vivian's office. He looks mad. She's crying. It turned out Ezekiel had his own meeting this morning with his previous company's legal team. They were very interested in some secret information that had mysteriously ended up with their competitors. Information that matched perfectly with the dates of his business dinners with Vivian. I stayed in the board meeting for exactly 47 minutes long, enough to share my worries about the company's direction and suggest a complete audit of all executive expenses. Long enough for Vivian to find out that her silent partner, the one who owned 12% of the company, was her soon-to-be ex-husband. The messages started pouring in. Vivian, how long have you owned shares? Vivian, why didn't you tell me? Vivian, Hunter, please, can we talk about this? Vivian, you're going to ruin everything I've worked for. I replied to the last one. No, you did that yourself. Check your email. The email had 2 things, screenshots of her conversations with Ezekiel, discussing secret company information and the partnership agreement she signed 5 years ago. The one with a very specific rule about ethical violations. Sophia called next. Ezekiel just dumped Vivian. She's too much of a risk. She's losing it, Hunter. She tried to get into the executive accounts, but her access was already blocked. How do you know about the accounts? I asked. Because I suggested the audit to the board last week after. I saw those documents she asked me to keep. Sophia's voice was steady. I love my sister, but what she did to you, and then asking me to help hide evidence. That's when my lawyer called. The board had made a decision. They weren't firing Vivian. That would be too public, too messy. Instead, they were giving her a choice. Quietly resign or face a full investigation into her actions. Either way, her stock options would be suspended until further review. I was about to head back to the hotel when Darman sent a text. Dude, check the security cameras. I logged in to see Vivian in our house, frantically going through files in the home office. The same office where 3 years ago, I had hidden a safe behind a painting from our honeymoon in Bali. The safe where I kept copies of every document, every investment, every piece of evidence showing how I had helped her career. She found the safe and tried. Every combination she could think of. Our wedding date. Her birthday. The day she got her promotion. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The combination? The date she signed the partnership agreement. The day she gained everything. She's about to lose. My phone rang again. This time it was the chairman. Hunter, we need to discuss the future of the company. I looked at the security feed one last time. Vivian had given up on the safe and was sitting at my desk, her head in her hands, the designer couch visible in the background. The one she bought to impress. Ezekiel, already showing where. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I told the chairman. And I have some ideas about restructuring the executive team. Tomorrow, Vivian will find out how much power I've had all along. Not just over her career, but over every decision she thought she made on her own these past 5 years. The best part? I never had to raise my voice or make threats, just let her own choices catch up with her. Final update. It's been a month since my last update. I wanted to wait until everything was settled before sharing how it all ended. Remember that last card I mentioned? It wasn't just about the company's shares or the expense reports. It was about something much more planned. Let's start with the couch. That $112,000 designer piece Vivian bought to impress Ezekiel. She didn't just use company money. She used money from a special account set up for a future merger, the same merger Ezekiel was trying to get secret information about. But here's the clever part. I knew she'd do something like this. 5 years of marriage taught me that Vivian couldn't resist showing off. So, 3 months before my Seattle trip, I started planting the seeds. Every casual conversation about my company's projects, every detail about potential deals, I shared over dinner. It was all carefully planned information that seemed valuable but was actually useless. The real projects and deals were hidden behind NDAs that Vivian never knew existed. The morning after my last update, the board called an emergency meeting. They showed Vivian everything. The unauthorized expenses, the leaked information, the recorded conversations with Ezekiel. But the final blow came from Sophia. My sister-in-law walked into the boardroom with a laptop containing emails between Vivian and Ezekiel, emails discussing how they would use my insider information to profit from the merger. Emails dated before I even left for Seattle. I kept copies of everything. Sophia told them, her voice steady. Every time she asked me to hold on to documents, every conversation about using Hunter's position for their benefit, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Vivian tried to defend herself, saying she was tricked by Ezekiel. That's when Olivia played her part. She showed evidence that Ezekiel had been working with our biggest competitor all along. Every piece of valuable information Vivian leaked to him was carefully crafted lies that led our competitors down. Expensive dead ends. The board's decision was unanimous. Vivian was fired, her stock options cancelled, and her reputation in the industry destroyed. But I wasn't finished. Remember that partnership agreement she signed? The one that gave me control over major financial choices? It had another rule. Any ethical violations would trigger an immediate review of all personal assets acquired during the partnership. The house bought with a loan I had guaranteed. Her car bought through a company lease I arranged. Even her fancy wardrobe mostly bought with company funds I helped her access. By the time my lawyers were done, Vivian was left with only what she had brought into our marriage. Her personal savings and a stack of student loans I had quietly stopped paying. Ezekiel vanished the moment things went wrong, but not before my private investigator documented every meeting, every transaction, and every lie he told Vivian about his rich family and business empire. Last week I received a hand-delivered letter from Vivian. Inside was a house key, the same one she had made when she changed the locks. There was also a note. I get it now. You didn't just help build my career, you designed its self-destruct sequence. She was right. Every step up the corporate ladder, every connection she made, every chance she took, I had carefully built it all with one purpose. It could all fall apart the moment she broke my trust. The couch? It was just delivered to my new office. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't about ruining someone's life. It's about letting them ruin it themselves while thinking they're winning. Damin asked me yesterday if it was all worth it, if spending years planning such an elaborate backup plan was excessive. I looked around my new corner office, the one that used to be Vivian's, and smiled. The best revenge, I told him, is watching someone realize that their better choice was actually their biggest mistake. Yesterday, I signed the final papers. The merger went through, the real one, not the fake one Vivian and Ezekiel tried to take advantage of. The company's value tripled overnight. Vivian watched it happen from her parents' guest room, where she's been staying since everything fell apart. Her last text to me was simple. You planned this all along, didn't you? I didn't reply. Some questions don't need answers. The designer couch sits in my office now, barely used, $112,000, trophy of someone else's mistakes. Sometimes the best things in life aren't free, they're just paid for by someone else's errors. If you enjoyed this Reddit story and want to hear more, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more thrilling content. Your support means a lot. Thank you for being part of this journey.